Here's a line that almost no one teaches you out loud. The moment you decide to be nice, the moment you start saying yes when every cell inside you is screaming no, you are not becoming a good person. You are becoming expensive furniture. Useful, decorative, always in the right spot, easy to move wherever the room needs you next, and never once asked what you would prefer. And here is the part nobody warns you about. The part that destroys people quietly across entire lifetimes without them ever once recognizing what is happening. The cost of being too nice is not paid in years. It is paid in you. Every time you silence yourself to keep the peace, you lose one more small piece of the version of you that was supposed to outlive all this. Every time you apologize for something that did not deserve your apology, you lose one more millimeter of the boundary you were supposed to grow into. Every time you choose their comfort over your own integrity, you lose one more matchstick from the bonfire your parents and your culture and your first heartbreak spent decades trying to light inside you. And by the time the bonfire goes out, you are not even angry anymore. You are not even sad anymore. You are not even surprised. You are just quiet, permanently, politely, professionally quiet. The kind of quiet that looks like maturity from the outside and sounds like death from the inside. And the worst part is this. The worst part is not the cost itself. The worst part is the lie that kept you paying it. Almost every kind, gentle, generous, warm-hearted person on earth was taught, somewhere in childhood, somewhere in school, somewhere in the first friendships that scarred them, that love must be earned, that love is not free, that love arrives only when you are agreeable, only when you are useful, only when you are the version of you that never threatens anyone. They were taught that a good friend never says the uncomfortable truth, that a good daughter never disobeys, that a good employee never rocks the boat, that a good husband never asks for what he actually needs, that a good human being never ever ever puts their own raw, uncut self in front of another human being and says, "This is me, take it or leave it." And because they believed that lie, they built their entire adult personality around accommodating everyone else's version of reality. They became the listener. They became the forgiver. They became the one who always shows up. They became the one who never asks for a receipt. And they became, very slowly, without even realizing it, a person whose life inside their own body was being slowly signed over to other people's moods. Marcus Aurelius understood this exact disease better than almost any philosopher in history, because he inherited it, he studied it, and he almost died inside it. He was trained from childhood to be tolerant, to be forgiving, to be patient with the ungrateful. In the very first book of his private journal Meditations, he lists 16 teachers who shaped him. One of them, a Stoic philosopher named Sextus, taught him the lesson his entire generation needed. Sextus taught Marcus to tolerate ignorant persons and those who form opinions without consideration, to accept every person as they come, without resentment, without collapse, without needing them to change before he could be at peace. That lesson is beautiful. That lesson is also dangerous, because if you hear it badly, the way almost every modern person hears it, you will think it means keep tolerating what is destroying you. You will think it means keep smiling through people who keep walking over you. You will think it means keep swallowing your own rage so the family table stays intact. You will think it means keep funding the same people who never reciprocate. You will think it means kindness at your own funeral. Marcus Aurelius did not learn Sextus's lesson that way. Marcus Aurelius learned the actual lesson, and the actual lesson was not be tolerant of cruelty toward yourself, The actual lesson was be tolerant of ignorance outside yourself, while being brutally disciplined about what you do not tolerate inside yourself. In another passage of Meditations, Book 2.1, Marcus writes out one of the most famous morning practices ever recorded by a human being. He wrote, "Begin the morning by saying to yourself, I shall meet today the meddler, the ungrateful, the arrogant, the treacherous, the envious, the uncharitable." He was not teaching his future self to be soft. He was inoculating his future self against the surprise of meeting soft people. He was preloading his day with the awareness that every human being he encountered, including himself, was going to disappoint him in some form. And the only thing that would determine whether the day won or lost was whether he chose to remain sovereign inside his own mind through every single disappointment. And that is the seed of the entire cost. That is where the fuel quietly enters the engine of your slow internal collapse. Softness, the kind that has been sold to you as kindness, was never an actual expression of strength. It was an expression of terror. It was the terror of losing approval. It was the terror of conflict. It was the terror of being alone on a Friday night because you finally refused to say yes. It was the terror of discovering that the entire social world you had built your personality around was actually built on the single rule: do not make anyone feel uncomfortable. And once you give up the right to make anyone uncomfortable, you also give up the right to be yourself. Because being yourself, your real, raw, uncut, sometimes irritating, sometimes loud, sometimes inconvenient self will always, eventually, at some point, make someone uncomfortable. And here is the first brutal truth Marcus Aurelius pressed into his private journal. The truth that should be tattooed on the inside of every soft person's eyelids. He wrote that for every man who has spent his life tiptoeing around the moods of others, there comes a moment when the habit refuses to obey. The performative kindness, the pleasing, the suppressing, the smiling, the constant yes, it works for a while. It pays off socially for a while. People praise you. People call you mature. People call you the stable one. People tell you that you are the most patient person in the room. And you believe them. You believe them because the alternative admitting that you have been performing your entire personality for an audience that has never once asked you what you actually think that alternative feels like death. It feels like jumping out of an airplane without checking if the parachute is on. It feels like admitting that the entire scaffolding around your relationships was made of paper. And so you keep performing. You keep saying yes. You keep showing up for the people who would never show up for you. You keep calling your mother back even when her tone on the phone gives you a migraine for 3 hours after. You keep inviting the friend who borrowed money and forgot about it. You keep tolerating the boss who takes credit for your work and calls you the team player as if that were a compliment. You keep absorbing the partner who treats your openness about their flaws as a personality flaw in you. And inside, while the performance keeps running, a slow, quiet, almost invisible death begins to unfold. It is not dramatic. It does not announce itself. It does not show up on a doctor's report. It just lives in the background of your every single day, in the soft ache behind your ribs every time you swallow a real opinion, in the heaviness behind your eyes every time you read another message from someone who only ever texts when they need you, in the quiet exhaustion in your chest every time you finish a friendship and realize that you were the only one in the room who ever thought it was a friendship. And here is the second brutal truth Marcus Aurelius discovered after decades of ruling the most powerful empire on earth, after watching his generals betray him, after watching his own wife conspire against him, after watching his court smile at him in person and curse him behind his back. He realized that almost all of the people who are currently inside your life were invited there by a version of you that no longer exists. They met a version of you that was afraid of them. They met a version of you that needed them. They met a version of you that was performing goodness to earn acceptance. And that version opened the door for them. And that version kept the door open. And that version kept pouring, kept inviting, kept apologizing, kept being the larger person, kept being the bigger fool. And when you finally begin to set the boundary, when you finally begin to say no without the explanation, when you finally begin to refuse the third favor without softening it, when you finally begin to stop calling the person who is draining you, the people who were invited by your old soft self feel, for the first time, locked out. And they react. They always react. They call you cold. They call you selfish. They call you different lately. They say they miss the old you. And they do not miss the old you because the old you was warmer. They miss the old you because the old you was leaking. They were drinking from the wound you called a heart. And you have finally started to clot. And here is the third brutal truth, the one Marcus Aurelius understood more than almost anyone who ever lived. He understood that being too nice was never a virtue. It was a transaction. It was an unspoken agreement you were making with the world. The agreement was, I will keep performing kindness to you, so you will keep confirming that I am a good person. And the moment the world stops confirming you, the moment the friend stops texting, the moment the family member stops calling you grateful, the moment the partner stops telling you that you are so easy to love, you have nothing left to hold on to. Your entire sense of self was being rented from their approval, and you did not even know it. Marcus Aurelius knew this exact feeling inside out, and on one of the darkest nights of his life, deep inside one of the very last books of his journal, Marcus wrote a line that would survive 2,000 years because it was true long after his hands had stopped moving. He wrote, "Today I escaped anxiety, or no, I discarded it, because it was within me, in my own perceptions, not outside." That is Meditations, Book 9.13. That single line is the surgical knife that cuts the cost of being too nice down to its actual size. Almost everything you have been stressed about was not the world being unfair to you. It was your own perception of the world being unfair to you, layered like sediment on top of your natural calm. And once you learn to see it that way, the entire architecture collapses. The approval you were chasing was inside your agreement with someone else's mood. The validation you were performing kindness to earn was inside your own narrative. The niceness that was destroying you was not actually any of their doing. It was you, performing a version of yourself on their behalf in exchange for a receipt you were never going to be handed. That is the cost. That is the real cost, not the time, not the money, not the missed opportunities. The cost is that you traded yourself, your actual breathing, honest, sometimes irritable, sometimes inconvenient self, for a receipt that never arrived. And the trade was never even up to begin with. The trade was you losing yourself to feel like you kept everyone else. And here is what Marcus Aurelius understood about the cure, because he did eventually find the cure, deep inside the same paragraph that contains the lesson of Book 9.13. He understood that the only kind of kindness worth anything in this world is the kind that costs you nothing you cannot afford, and you cannot afford yourself. Self is not something you are permitted to donate to someone else just because they have a smile on and a soft voice. Self is the only real possession you will ever be able to spend properly. And if you keep spending it on people who do not even notice it, you will arrive at your own deathbed inside an empty wallet, and the people you gave it all to will not be there. Because they were never there, they were just drinking. Marcus Aurelius did not become cruel. He did not become hard. He became intentional. He became able to be kind where kindness was real, and silent where kindness was rented. He became able to refuse without resentment. He became able to walk into every room and decide calmly whether the version of him being asked to perform was actually him, because the version of him being asked to perform was almost always someone else. It was the boy trained in childhood to be acceptable. It was the teenage emperor trained to win court approval. It was the young emperor trained to tolerate the unbearable, to keep the empire inside his hands. And the version of Marcus who finally wrote Meditations was the version who refused. He was not refusing other people. He was refusing to keep paying the cost that being too nice was charging him. He was refusing to keep bleeding his nervous system into the names of his friends, his enemies, his wife, his court. He was refusing to keep being the soft floor for every hard foot the empire kept dropping on his ribs. And that refusal, quiet, calm, almost smiling refusal, was the moment that finally freed him. Not freedom from Rome, not freedom from his wife, not freedom from any of the brutalities around him. Freedom from the soft man he had been trained to perform. Freedom from the version of himself that he had been maintaining, like furniture, like decoration, like something useful and quiet and easy to move wherever the room needed him. So here is the question this video was actually written to leave you with. Are you going to keep being too nice? Are you going to keep performing the version of you that never makes anyone uncomfortable? Are you going to keep saying yes when the answer no is being screamed out of every cell inside your body? Are you going to keep funding the people who would not even know what to do with a real you if you ever introduced one? Are you going to keep handing your nervous system to the small, ordinary, daily decisions of people who have never once asked you what you wanted, what you needed, what you dreamed of when you were 9 years old and the world still had a future that looked like it could actually include you? Marcus Aurelius believed that the cost of being too nice was too high for any human being to keep paying. He believed that the kindness of pretending was poisoning every room it entered. He believed that real kindness, the kind that survives, is the kindness that costs you nothing you cannot afford. Because the moment it costs you yourself, it is no longer kindness. It is transaction. And transaction is not love. Transaction is not generosity. Transaction is just debts you cannot collect from people who never signed the contract. So if you have spent the last few years feeling like you have been slowly emptied by kindness you were never thanked for, this video is not here to fix that. This video is here to refuse it for you, in case you are not yet ready to refuse it for yourself. Marcus Aurelius spent a lifetime learning that the man who keeps being too nice eventually stops being real. And there is no one on this earth worth your becoming a ghost for. Not one. Not even the people you love the most. Not even the ones who taught you that love must be earned. Not even the ones whose approval still controls your blood pressure on a Tuesday afternoon. Stop being too nice. Stop being so cheap with yourself. Stop selling self-respect under the label of patience. And start being the rare, intentional, slow, sometimes quiet, sometimes inconvenient, but real, actually real, kind of person that almost no one in this world is willing to be anymore. Marcus Aurelius wrote that down on cold nights in a tent on the edge of an empire he was tired of holding. And you can write it down on any quiet afternoon on the edge of whatever empire you are currently pretending to smile through. The pen is the same. The silence is the same. The cost of being yourself was always worth more than the cost of being too nice.